Was buying my first home worth the blood, sweat, and tears that went into this process? Was it really worth it? Of course. What did y'all expect me to say? Of course it was worth it. I'm literally gaining so many things as being a homeowner. Granted, I lost a lot, but the things that I gained are much better. So to make this realistic and worth your while, I'm going to tell you about the 3 things that I'm gaining now and that I've been gaining as a homeowner, so that you can shift your mindset and understand that the short-term sacrifice is worth the long-term gain. So number 1, the biggest thing that I gained from this homeownership world that I'm in is equity. And if you don't know what equity is, it's essentially the difference between what you bought your house for and what it's worth now. So let's say you bought your house for $250,000 in March of 2020. Fast forward to September, October, and your home is now worth, $300,000. That's a difference that you can collect. Now, granted, equity is what the home is worth, and it's what you will get if you decided to sell or like cash out and refinance to use that money for other things. Like, there's just so much more access to money that you have with this equity. So like, what do you do with this equity? I'm sure that's what you're thinking. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna be doing with mine. So I am actively looking for an investment property, and you need money. You need a down payment, you need closing costs, you need money just in case it takes time to find a tenant. You need to furnish the place if you decide to go to short-term rental route, which is what I'm thinking. Like, you're gonna need even more money, honestly. Like, purchasing an investment property, like they're gonna require 20% down if you decide to do conventional, which is what I'm considering, and that requires funding. Nobody has nobody has $20,000, $30,000 sitting around. I surely don't. So I am planning, or that it's an option for me to utilize the equity that I have in my home. Yeah, so, I can use it to make another purchase, i.e. another home. I can use it to potentially pay something else off. Like, it's access to your money. And obviously it doesn't come just free and clear. Like, you have to go through the process. At least for me, there's 2 options I would go, which is like a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, basically borrowing from my equity, or I can do a cash out refi where like I'll get that balance, but then I potentially may have higher interest rates. So that just got really into deep real estate investing. But just to help you understand, like, your first home isn't going to be your last. The goal is to have your own portfolio, and having access to that equity to do what you need is super beneficial. Like, that's benefit number 1, and really the most important benefit. The second benefit that I'm already gaining is rental income. So there's an opportunity for you to cash flow, house hack as a homeowner. And granted, you can do that, I guess, with actually, you can't do that with an apartment. That's probably against the law. But with your home, with you owning it free and clear, let's say you have some extra rooms, let's say you have a basement, like you have anything that like is separate from your house, or it's in your house and you want to rent it out to make some extra cash. Like, you can do short-term rentals like Airbnb, you can rent it out to a travel nurse, you can rent it out to a student, or you can just have a regular tenant in there. And that can cash flow you, $500, and you could still be in the house. So that's house hacking. But there's also another option that you can consider, which is just renting it out free and clear. And that's what I want to do. Like, if I don't know you, I don't want you to be living with me. So, my plan is to turn my place, I have multiple options, multiple exit strategies, as they call them. One of them is to turn it into a travel nurses rental, because I'm pretty close to a lot of the hospitals in my city. I'm also considering a regular tenant. I'm considering multiple things, but just to give you an idea of like how much I can get rental wise, my mortgage is set amount. I'm not going to tell you that. Ain't none of y'all business. I will be cash flowing $600 if I rented out my place at the market rent right now, based on the amount of rooms, based on the condition of the home, and based on just the market. So, it pays to have something that's brand new, because that's what people like. You know, a lot of people are interested in, you know, old homes for the character and all that. But if you're like me, a non-DIYer, you ain't got time for that. So ideally, if I'm renting this out, I'm already thinking about the kind of tenant that I want to have. Like I want women, likely. Like I want traveling nurses, you know, like, and I would structure my house in a way that benefits their lifestyle, their careers, because they may work nights, they may work during the day, and they need the convenience and they need the peace that I will want my home to provide them with. So $600 cash flow ain't nothing to sneeze at, okay? So rental opportunity, rental income, cash flow is very important. That's really the name of the game when it comes to real estate. Like, most people don't want to be active investors. They don't want to be super hands-on. Like, again, if you're a non-DIYer like me, you want to just sit back and collect the checks, okay? And that's what home buying is opening the door for me to do. And lastly is financial stability. So all of my friends have complained about their rent going up every year, like pandemic or not. They're like, nah, your rent is now $50 more. Running me out my coins, or you can get out of here. Literally, like, that's how these apartment companies are working. And what I like about being a homeowner is that my bills are consistent. Like, my interest rate is fixed. It'll never change for the duration of my loan, which is 30 years. Unless I refinance. And that could potentially be beneficial if the rate is low, and my rate is good. I don't need to refinance. But let's say someone has a 7% interest rate and rates get, you know, back down to like 3%. It will make more sense to refinance. But if I were to refinance now, I would get today's rate, which is around 7%, and that is not cute. So, you know, I like the stability that homeownership gives me financially. Now, granted, there is a whole thing called property taxes. Those are assessed every year, and they're kind of based on your neighborhood and really whatever the city wants to do. We have no control over that. But the great news is that it's one time, and it's not as drastic, in my opinion, as these rental companies and how they are doing all dirty. So that is what I'm gaining as being a homeowner. Those are three major gains that I want to incorporate or re-highlight. And again, I talk about all this in my book. It's called Ready to Own, which is a 100-page workbook for first-time home buyers that really want the guidance, you know, when it comes to home buying. So I have tons of stuff in here for you guys. And I talk about my personal experience as well as obviously abide by industry standards. So it's a nice combination, and it's a workbook. Like, you can literally like take notes and make it your own. But again, just to recap, the three things that made purchasing my first home worth it is, number one, the equity. Like, I already have equity. I actually walked in with equity because I bought at a certain time and it took a couple of months for the house to be ready. And so I got equity based on what the house was worth now, which was based on the homes around my home. That equity matters because I'm planning to use that potentially to purchase my next home, which will be an investment home. Two is the rental income. So again, I've already kind of ran the numbers, did the due diligence, and based on what my mortgage is, I will be cash flowing an additional $600. So I will be charging them more than what my rent is, and I can collect that profit. Granted, you want to use it and probably put it up, and you know, you'll have expenses, but like ultimately $600 of passive income, game changer. And then third is the financial stability. Like, I don't have to worry about my bills fluctuating. My interest rate is fixed. Like, the only thing that will change is property taxes. And again, that's not as drastic as what I'm hearing these rental companies and apartment complexes are doing. So get the book. It's super duper helpful. And it is linked below in the description. And please let me know if you have any questions, but hopefully this was helpful. And let me know what else you want me to cover on my future videos. Comment below, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.